Some movies are designed to be blockbusters from the start. Studios throw in $200 million, stack them with A-list stars, and expect a $1 billion return. But sometimes, the biggest box office surprises come from the smallest budgets, the scrappy indies, the passion projects, the horror flicks nobody expected. These are the ones that sneaked into theaters and somehow exploded into cultural juggernauts. Today, we're looking at 10 movies from the 2000s onwards that were made for shockingly low budgets, but went on to become massive hits. We're talking hundreds of millions in profit, careers launched, franchises born, and studios completely blindsided by success. Let's get into it.
Why are you so sweaty?
I've been practicing some dance moves.
Let's start off with one of the quirkiest success stories ever, Napoleon Dynamite. Made for less than $500,000, shot in Idaho of all places, this was a film destined to either vanish into obscurity or become a cultural time capsule of the 2000s, and somehow, it became the latter. The story is nothing fancy, it's just about an awkward teen named Napoleon, his family, and his friend named Pedro trying to win a class election. No explosions, just llamas, tots, and one of the most legendary dance sequences ever put to film. The movie premiered at Sundance in 2004, and when Fox Searchlight picked it up, they turned it into a marketing juggernaut. Shirts with Vote for Pedro were everywhere. MTV pushed it constantly, and suddenly this tiny Idaho indie had grossed over $46 million worldwide. That's more than 100 times its budget. The crazy part? The filmmakers didn't even think they'd get distribution. John Heder, who played Napoleon, was paid only $1,000 initially. After the film blew up, he renegotiated for a cut of the profits. Smart move. What's wild about Napoleon Dynamite is how it became shorthand for a certain type of humor. Awkward, dry, offbeat in a way that was almost anti-comedy. Some people loved it, others didn't get it at all, but no one forgot it. And for Fox Searchlight, it proved that a weird, tiny indie could become a true cultural phenomenon.
Make your choice. Live or die.
2004 wasn't just the year of awkward teens in Idaho. It was also the year that two Australian filmmakers changed horror forever. James Wan and Lee Wanell made Saw for about $1 million. It was basically a contained thriller, mostly two guys chained in a bathroom with a dead body between them. The film used clever editing, grainy visuals, and unforgettable concept, the Jigsaw Killer. When Saw premiered at Sundance, Lionsgate picked it up, and suddenly, the tiny indie was marketed as the scariest film since Seven. And it worked. The movie made over $100 million worldwide. That success didn't just make Wan and Wanell household names, it launched one of the biggest horror franchises of all time. 10 films, spin-offs, reboots, even a Chris Rock-led installment. And all of it traces back to this one low-budget bathroom set. The brilliance of Saw was its simplicity. It didn't need CGI monsters or big effects, just a twisted idea in a game nobody wanted to play. It also taps into that early 2000s appetite for extreme horror, a wave of films that pushed gore and intensity to new levels. And because of the insane return on investment, Saw basically became the blueprint for every studio greenlighting a low-budget horror hoping for the next big franchise.
Not a ghost. What is it?
Speaking of horror, if Saw was a game changer, Paranormal Activity was a phenomenon. Shot for just $15,000 in director Oren Peli's own house, the movie relied entirely on found footage style scares. No elaborate sets, no major actors, no big effects, just a young couple, some creepy noises, and a camera set up at night. The brilliance wasn't just the movie itself, it was the marketing. Paramount leaned into the idea that audiences were too scared to watch it. They literally had a campaign where you could demand the movie to come to your city. That created buzz, made it feel like a viral event, and turned Paranormal Activity into a must-see. It grossed nearly $200 million worldwide off $15,000. That's one of the single greatest returns on investment in Hollywood history. And like Saw, it spawned a massive franchise. Sequels, prequels, spin-offs, 6 films in total, plus a streaming revival. But beyond that, Paranormal Activity reignited the found footage craze, proving that minimalism could terrify audiences more than CGI ever could. For Paramount, this was basically free money. And for Peli, it turned his one-man experiment into a cultural milestone.
My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
We may be lambs in the kitchen, but we have tigers in the bedroom.
Ew. Please let that be the end of your speech.
Now let's pivot from horror to romance. My Big Fat Greek Wedding is a rom-com made for just $5 million. Written and starring Nia Vardalos. It's a semi-autobiographical story about falling in love outside of her Greek heritage. It's small, personal, and very specific in its humor. But sometimes, the most specific stories become the most universal. Audiences fell in love with it. Word of mouth carried it week after week, and by the end of its run, the movie had made $368 million worldwide. That's more than most superhero movies were making at the time. And here's the kicker. It never hit number one at the box office. Not once. It just played and played, staying in the theaters for over a year. It was the definition of a sleeper hit. The success led to a short-lived TV spinoff, My Big Fat Greek Life, and 2 sequels released decades later. But nothing touched that original lightning in a bottle. For indie distributors, it was proof that you didn't need action or horror. You just needed a heartfelt story people wanted to share.
Where you are, John?
I'm going to cheat slightly here because Blair Witch dropped in 1999, but its influence bled heavily into the 2000s. And honestly, you can't talk about low-budget mega hits without mentioning it. Made for just $60,000, this film was shot in the woods with handheld cameras and improv actors. It was marketed as real found footage, with fake missing person campaigns and a website that made people believe this might actually be true. The result? $248 million worldwide. At the time, it was one of the most profitable movies ever made. And here's where its real importance lies. Blair Witch essentially created the modern viral marketing playbook. That mix of internet buzz, mystery, and low-budget authenticity directly influenced Paranormal Activity, Cloverfield, and dozens of other films. Even though its sequels failed to capture the magic, the original remains a textbook case of how to turn no budget into a massive success through pure creativity and marketing genius.
No.
Jordan Peele went from comedy legend to horror auteur in one film. Made for just $4.5 million under Blumhouse Productions, Get Out was a socially charged horror film about a black man meeting his white girlfriend's family. What starts as an awkward comedy quickly spirals into a nightmare of psychological horror. The film struck a chord. Critics loved it, audiences couldn't stop talking about it, and its box office skyrocketed to $255 million worldwide. What made Get Out so huge wasn't just the scares, it was the conversation. Peele used horror to talk about race, privilege, and systematic issues in a way that mainstream audiences had never seen before. It sparked debates, think pieces, and ultimately, an Oscar win for Best Original Screenplay. For Blumhouse, it was another home run in their strategy. Keep budgets low, give filmmakers freedom, and let word of mouth do the rest. Danny Boyle's Slumdog Millionaire wasn't supposed to be a box office monster. In fact, Warner Brothers initially planned to send it straight to DVD. But after early screenings, Fox Searchlight stepped in and the rest is history. Made for $15 million, the film told a story of a poor kid in Mumbai competing for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. It was energetic, colorful, emotional, and had that unforgettable A.R. Rahman soundtrack. The movie became a word-of-mouth sensation, grossing $375 million worldwide and winning 8 Oscars, including Best Picture. The success of Slumdog proved that international stories could resonate globally, and it gave a massive boost to Dev Patel's career. It also reminded studios not to underestimate films that don't fit the traditional Hollywood blockbuster mold. Before she was directing Barbie, Greta Gerwig was starring in indies. And before Diablo Cody was a household name, she wrote Juno. Made for just $7.5 million, the film was a quirky comedy drama about a teenager dealing with unplanned pregnancy. Ellen Page, Michael Cera, Jason Bateman, Jennifer Garner. It had a stacked, but relatively affordable cast. The movie exploded thanks to its witty script, lovable characters, and killer indie soundtrack. It grossed $231 million worldwide and won an Oscar for Best Original Screenplay. Beyond the box office, Juno influenced a whole wave of indie quirk films in the late 2000s. Its tone, its music choices, even its marketing aesthetic. You could see its fingerprints everywhere.
Send in the clowns.
So $55 million isn't exactly micro budget, but by modern superhero standards, it's practically nothing. Most comic book films come in around $150 to $200 million before marketing. Todd Phillips' Joker was pitched as a gritty, standalone character study. No multiverse, no CGI armies, just Joaquin Phoenix as Arthur Fleck, slowly unraveling into the clown prince of crime. Warner Brothers didn't expect it to become a billion-dollar movie, but it did. Joker grossed $1.7 billion worldwide, making it the most profitable comic book film ever relative to its budget. It also won Phoenix an Oscar for Best Actor and solidified DC's darker standalone lane as a viable alternative to Marvel's big-budget spectacle. The takeaway: you don't always need to spend $200 million to make a comic book movie work. Sometimes a smaller, focused budget can lead to something more powerful, and in this case, more profitable.
What is going on?
Mike Tyson? This is my favorite part coming up right now.
He still got it.
We're ending with comedy gold. The Hangover cost $35 million to make, a modest budget by studio comedy standards. No huge stars at the time, no big franchise backing it up, just a wild premise. Three friends wake up after a Vegas bachelor party with no memory of the night before and a missing groom. The movie has become a phenomenon. It grossed $469 million worldwide, making it the highest grossing R-rated comedy ever at the time. The success launched sequels with much bigger budgets, turned Bradley Cooper, Ed Helms, and Zach Galifianakis into A-listers, and reminded Hollywood that R-rated comedies could still dominate theaters. It's the perfect example of how a relatively small investment, paired with a killer concept and execution, can turn into a cultural juggernaut. What all these movies prove is simple. Budget doesn't equal impact. You can have $200 million and flop, or $15,000 and change the genre forever. The common thread across all these success stories: creativity, timing, and word of mouth. These films tapped into something people didn't even know they wanted, whether it was an awkward dance move, twisted horror games, or a Greek wedding that felt too real. And honestly, I love these stories because they prove that passion projects and weird ideas can still break through the noise. You don't always need superheroes and CGI. Sometimes you just need a camera, a great script, and a whole lot of heart. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It really does help out the channel. Leave any movies you thought should be on this list below, and click over here if you want to watch another. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.